The city never slept, but Michael Langston barely noticed the glittering skyline outside his penthouse office. At 42, he had built Langston Enterprises into a tech empire worth billions. His crisp suits, cold precision, and sharp blue eyes made him a legend in boardrooms and a nightmare to work for. Control was his oxygen, and tonight he was suffocating. A $2 billion merger with Synergy Solutions was hanging by a thread. The 200-page contract sprawled across his desk like a battlefield of legal jargon. Indemnification protocols, escrow stipulations, fiduciary contingencies, nonsense dressed as language. Even his Ivy League lawyers couldn't untangle it fast enough, and the deadline was hours away. When his driver suggested a nearby diner called Rosie's, Michael almost laughed, but exhaustion overruled pride. Minutes later, he was seated in a cracked leather booth under flickering neon lights, the scent of coffee and fried onions cutting through the static in his brain. He wasn't here to eat. He just needed silence. But silence wasn't what he got. Grace Harper, 28, moved between tables with effortless rhythm. She'd been working at Rosie's for 3 years. 3 long years of double shifts and quiet dreams. Her messy bun, worn sneakers, and tired smile masked a mind that never stopped observing. She noticed a man in the expensive suit drowning in paperwork, his pen scratching furiously, jaw tight with frustration. She poured him a glass of water and set it down gently. "Rough night?" she asked, voice light but kind. "You could say that," he muttered without looking up. Grace's eyes flicked to the dense contract, margins filled with angry scrawls. "Looks like a lot to handle. Sometimes talking it out helps." He finally looked at her, irritation flashing. "What are you now, a lawyer? Stick to coffee, sweetheart." She smiled politely, though her green eyes sharpened. "Just offering. You look like you're losing to whatever's on those pages." "It's a contract," he snapped. "Unless you got a law degree hidden under that apron, you wouldn't get it." Grace tilted her head, unfazed. "Try me. Translate it into plain English. If it's so complicated, maybe a fresh pair of eyes will help." Michael laughed, low and mocking. "Oh, you're a genius now? Fine. If you're so smart, then translate it." He shoved the papers across the table. He expected her to blush, stammer, and retreat. She didn't. Instead, Grace picked up the document with careful hands, eyes scanning the text line by line. For a few minutes, the diner hummed around them while she read. Then she began to speak. "This section, indemnification protocols. It's just about who takes the blame if something goes wrong. Think of it like buying a used car. If it breaks the next day, this decides who pays for the repairs. Here, Synergy is making you eat most of the risk if their tech fails post-merger." Michael blinked. "That's actually correct. Now, this escrow clause," she continued, flipping pages. "That's money held in a neutral account until conditions are met. They want $500 million locked away. That's steep. You can negotiate phase releases instead." His pen stopped moving. For the first time that night, he was listening. "How do you know this?" he asked, suspicion mingling with curiosity. "I listen. I read. People underestimate waitresses, but we hear everything. Business deals, breakups, confessions. And I like puzzles," she said with a shrug. He didn't interrupt again. For nearly an hour, Grace dissected the contract piece by piece. She simplified complex clauses, caught hidden traps, even found one that would have allowed Synergy to withdraw without penalty if Langston's stock dipped below a certain threshold. She explained each point with sharp analogies, translating legal chaos into clarity. "It's like signing a lease where the landlord can evict you without notice," she said. Michael leaned back, stunned. This wasn't guesswork. This was intuition, logic, and intelligence sharper than most of his executives possessed. "Who are you?" he murmured. Grace hesitated. "Just someone good at figuring things out. You done mocking me yet?" He didn't reply, but the look in his eyes softened. Midnight came and went. The diner emptied until only the hum of the jukebox remained. Michael pushed the contract aside. "You're not just a waitress, are you?" Grace wiped the counter. "I'm a lot of things. Waitress, daughter, sister. I studied computer science for a while, until life had other plans. My mom got sick, and bills don't pay themselves." "You were in computer science?" he asked, surprised. She nodded. Didn't quit, just paused. Still teach myself. Mostly coding. Coding what? Grace smiled faintly, pulling out her phone. An app. Nothing fancy. Just something I tinker with after shifts. Michael's eyes narrowed. What kind of app? One that connects people. Text, video, data transfers, all in real time. It's sleek, secure, and simple. She laughed softly. But who's going to take a Waitress seriously? No degree, no investors, just lines of code at 2 a.m. Michael froze. Langston Enterprises had been struggling for months to develop a similar system. His R&D department had failed repeatedly. You built something like that? He asked slowly. Grace shrugged. It's rough, but it's mine. Michael stared at her, realization dawning. This wasn't luck. She was exactly what his company, and maybe he himself, had been missing. You're wrong, he said finally. Someone would take you seriously. I would. Grace laughed under her breath. You? The guy who told me to stick to coffee. He winced. Yeah, that was uncalled for. But I'm not stupid. You got something rare. Grace, let me help you build it. Funding, a team, resources, whatever you need. She studied him carefully. Why should I trust you? You don't even know me. Because I know talent when I see it, he said quietly. And because you just saved me from a very expensive mistake. Let me return the favor. For days after that night, Michael couldn't stop thinking about Grace Harper, the waitress who had outsmarted a room full of lawyers. Her clarity, her courage, and her quiet intelligence haunted him like a song stuck on repeat. He finalized the synergy merger, using her insights, shaving millions off the liabilities she'd spotted. His board called it genius. He called it luck, and the waitress who'd given him the edge. A week later, Michael returned to Rosie's, not with contracts or arrogance this time, but with an offer. He found Grace behind the counter, refilling coffee cups for night shift workers. Back for more legal advice? She teased. He smiled. Something like that. I've been thinking about your app. Show me more. Grace blinked, unsure if he was serious. But she pulled out her phone and opened her prototype, a clean, intuitive interface connecting users across platforms with seamless video, chat, and encrypted data sharing. It was elegant, efficient, and far more advanced than she realized. Michael leaned in, studying every detail. His R&D team had been trying to create something similar for months, and failing. Grace's design was raw but brilliant. This could change everything, he said quietly. You built all this yourself? Yeah, she said simply. It's not perfect, but it works. He looked up at her. Let me help you make it perfect. Grace laughed, shaking her head. You're offering to invest in a waitress's midnight project? I'm offering to invest in you, he said. You think I built $1 billion company by ignoring talent when it's right in front of me? She hesitated. Trust didn't come easy. If I do this, I keep creative control. I want a say in every decision. Michael grinned. You drive. I'll supply the fuel. And so, the unlikeliest partnership began. A billionaire CEO and a waitress-turned-developer building something the world hadn't seen before. Grace insisted on keeping her shifts at Rosie's until the app was ready. It keeps me grounded, she told him. Michael didn't argue. The more he worked with her, the more he realized he'd spent years surrounded by people who told him what he wanted to hear, not what he needed to know. Grace was different. She questioned everything, fought for every idea, refused to flatter him. Late nights turned into early mornings. She wrote code while Michael arranged investors and built a team around her vision. Sometimes they worked from his glass office overlooking the skyline, sometimes from her cramped apartment where her brother did homework beside them. He met her family, a mother still recovering from illness, a younger brother with a spark of curiosity that reminded him of Grace. The warmth in that tiny home shook something loose in Michael. He'd built his empire on isolation and ambition, but this messy, chaotic, genuine life was what he'd been missing. 6 months later, their creation, ConnectSphere, launched. It wasn't just an app. It was a revolution. Secure, user-friendly, and universally accessible. It became the backbone of modern communication. Reviews hailed it as the future of human connection. But more than success, It was validation. Grace's name appeared beside Michael's in every headline. The world saw her not as a waitress, but as a visionary who'd built something extraordinary from nothing. The story spread. The waitress who rewrote the rules of tech. Interviews poured in. Venture capitalists wanted a piece of her next idea. But Grace never forgot where she came from. With her first earnings, she launched a scholarship for working-class students who couldn't afford to finish their degrees. Because brilliance doesn't wear a suit, she said during her first press conference. Michael changed, too. He restructured Langston Enterprises from the ground up, opening internship programs for community college students and small-town developers. He stopped hiring for pedigree and started hiring for passion. His company flourished, and so did he. Years passed. Rosie's Diner became something of a legend, the place where one conversation changed the tech world. On ConnectSphere's third anniversary, Michael returned to celebrate. The same booth, the same cracked leather seat, but everything else had changed. Grace was there, not in an apron, but in a tailored jacket, her laptop open beside a steaming cup of coffee. "Didn't think I'd see you back here," she said, smiling. "I come for the coffee," he replied, sliding into the seat across from her. "You hate diner coffee." He grinned. "Guess I like the company, then." The diner buzzed with chatter. A group of young developers sat a few tables away, showing off new prototypes built using ConnectSphere's open-source tools. The jukebox played softly in the background. Michael raised his mug. "To underestimating people," he said. Grace clinked her cup against his. "And to proving them wrong." They laughed. Two worlds had collided and built something greater than either could have alone. Outside, New York pulsed with light and life. Inside, amid the warmth of coffee and conversation, a quiet revolution had already begun. Because sometimes, the smartest person in the room isn't the one wearing the suit. It's the one who never stopped believing that even from the humblest places, brilliance can rise, reshape everything, and light up the world.